Well, good morning, Lansdowne. Good evening, good afternoon. Hello, welcome to today's daily devotion. I'm here, as you can see, in a very empty Woodbury Avenue hall, the sanctuary, the chapel, whatever you want to call it. It's empty because we've been starting to think about the way the chairs will be when we need to socially distance back together, what it looked like with weddings, all that kind of stuff. And it's weird being here. I've been here working a reasonable amount because it's quieter than my house. But it's odd being in this place without it being full of people, isn't it? And we're grieving not being able to be back together yet. I know, chatting to lots of people, looking at the survey results, lots of people have been grieving that. And we feel that, don't we? But as we do that, I want to give us a bit of a thought experiment. This will be nothing new to most of us, but I want to do a bit of a thought experiment with some words from Acts 2 that we at the Townsend Community Group have been thinking a lot in. We're studying through the book of Acts every Sunday night at the moment, and we've thought a lot about what it means to be church, what it means to be church community, Christian community. And that has been affected in lots of ways, hasn't it? Right now, in this time, this period, this pandemic, however we want to talk about it. And I wonder just if God is teaching us some stuff that we knew already, but we're really experiencing now. So this morning, today, as we think on these words, just come with me to Acts chapter 2. Let me read from verse 42. Verse 41. Those who accepted his message were baptized, and about 3,000 were added to their number that day. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favour of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So it's easy to jump into this bit and hear the bits where, every day they continued to meet together. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Man, they got to be together. And we can't be together at the moment, can we? We can't be in this space all together. But as we look at those verses, just follow this train of thought through that you will have heard before. I think it's not about this space, is it? It's not about this building. It's not about our grand new building, which is now up and running again on Lansdowne Road. It's never been about that. When it says in this passage they were all together, it probably doesn't mean every day they gather together as 3,000 of them in the temple courts. There probably wouldn't have been space for that. When it says they were all together, it says they were all together and had everything in common. They were unified together as a people. So you know this, don't you? If you've been a Christian for any length of time, church is not about the building. We always say that. But the thought experiment I want to run through is whether we actually believe that. If you're grieving being together, not being together now, is it because we've become overcome by being in a place with everybody, being lifted up by the great singing, and having all those random conversations with people that we don't really contact in other ways? We're missing all of that rightly because it's good stuff. But is that what it's been all about? Yes, it's good to meet together. We need to do that and we need to be back together. But maybe these big gatherings where we're fed from the front isn't what it's been about. And maybe God is teaching us something in this time along those lines right now. Did you notice verse 42? You will have heard it before. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. There's none of that we can't do now, that we aren't doing together now. Our building is closed, there's big yellow signs everywhere. We are closed. Nothing of what a church should be doing in the model God has given us, we cannot do right now. And I know it's cliche to say, look at the early church, look at how they did things. But this is the model God has given us. So it's okay to want more of that, to get back to that. And maybe God is taking us back in those ways. Don't worry too much about your buildings. We've got Keith Mackay for that. Don't worry too much about when you can get back together. Try to do that. But in the waiting and in the space, focus on what's actually important. Not on what you can't do, but what you can do. So devote yourself to the apostles' teaching. Now that's the teaching of the gospel. They taught Jesus Christ crucified. Devote yourself to that teaching. If you feel like you haven't been devoted to that, then thank you for watching this. Go back to the YouTube site and get back devoted to the teaching of the gospel. Do they devote themselves to fellowship? If you feel like you're out of fellowship, if you're not spending time with other believers, we can do that now. You can be together with people in each other's gardens, in open spaces, even in each other's houses, in a careful way. Or on the phone, or on WhatsApp, or on Zoom. Devote yourself to fellowship. That's what church is. Because devote yourself to the breaking of bread. Now this could have been communion, it could have been meals together, probably a bit of both. We're doing Zoom communion now. Devote yourself to that, be there for that. But also devote yourself to meals with other people, eat together. If you can't do it in person, do it on Zoom. Both go on Zoom or FaceTime, eat together. And then finally, devote yourself to prayer. We don't need to be in a building to be doing that. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. But if you know it, will you devote yourself to it? Will you pray more now? It's a simple thought experiment, isn't it? It's not about this. It's never been about this. We can't use this at the moment. We are still the church. You know that, I know that. Let's actually live it out. And I know that we are, because I'm speaking to plenty of people who are living it out. But let's have more. Let's have more people devoted to the apostles' teaching, to the teaching of the gospel. Let's have more fellowship, phone calls that nobody else will ever hear about, between you and somebody else in church, to encourage them. Spontaneous prayer meetings on the beach in people's gardens. Watching the service together. Let's do more of that, more encouraging each other, more building each other up, more reading the Bible together. Get on openthebible.org with somebody else in your small group. If you're not in a small group, join a small group. Devote yourself to prayer. Be praying. Let's rely on God together. So, we are the church. The church continues. The message of Acts is the gospel is unstoppable. It will go out, and it will go out through God's people, whatever situation they're in. The gospel won't stop because we can't meet in this building, because the chairs have been taken away. The gospel will still go out through us. So let's be part of that.